What is it?
It's time to go back.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome back to Generation S. It's a podcast about growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. Let me put it to you this way. If you thought the 90s was only 10 years ago, this podcast is probably for you. I'm Dan Kemp, and today I am joined once again by my lovely wife, Beth. Beth, welcome back to the show.
Hey, guys.
I'd say how you been, but, I live with you. So even though it's been a while since you've done one of these,
True.
I mean, how are you? You good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can't complain.
Life is good?
Can't complain.
Okay. Well, listen, we are recording this for kind of a Mother's Day thing, right? It's coming up next week.
Yes.
And in fact, the day we're recording this, it is a week from today. Also, our son's birthday. So,
That little,
yeah.
that little monkey.
Well, listen, we're prioritizing you on that day.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But obviously you're a mom, and so I thought, wouldn't it be fun? Because I've actually gotten this request from several people to do a TV Moms episode,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and for the, just spoiler alert, I guess I'm going to be doing this for the dads too. So I'm not sure who I'm going to have on the show for that one, but I will be doing a show all about TV dads as well.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think I can help you with that one. Yeah.
I mean, you could.
No, it's a joke. I was just being funny. Never mind.
Oh, right. Of course. All right. Well, listen, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to start off kind of talking about, TV moms, in cartoons and in live action, whatever. Because, I mean, let's face it, the idea of the TV mom has been around for a long time, right? Like let's back it up before the 90s. When you think of a TV mom, what's the earliest example that comes to mind for you?
June Cleaver, dude.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mrs. Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver, right? And I don't think she was the first, but
No.
I mean, for me though, memory-wise, yeah. So, because you went from that kind of that classic 50s housewife mom who was just like, everyone wanted her to be their mom because she was just like, she was always so forgiving. She always had, breakfast on the table for the kids. And, she was essentially the perfect mom, at least on TV. And of course, now we know that's not, well, it's funny because for the longest time, I literally thought that's how life was in the 1950s. And then I had to ask my mom, my grandparents mostly, like, hey, is this how you guys acted back then? They're like, hell no. This is...
I highly doubt your grandparents said hell no, but sure, yeah.
Well, no, on my mom's side, though.
Oh, yeah, Nana, sure.
Nana was a saucy lady, so...
I was like, I could not
No, my
see.
dad's parents are a little more conservative. They certainly wouldn't have said hell no to anything that I asked them. So, but no, I mean, really, the idea of the TV mom, it's been around for over 70 years, and it's kind of evolved because, you had, TV moms throughout the 60s, the 70s. I think of other ones like what's her face? Carol Brady,
Yep.
another TV mom. And you just kind of work your way through up into the 80s where there was, I think the sitcom really kind of was revitalized in the 80s. You had like Family Ties, you had Three's Company, all these different sitcoms. Happy Days was another one. But, you have, the 90s, which again, that was really our childhood where, it kind of took a different spin where all of a sudden these moms weren't, they weren't housewives all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were, but they weren't perfect anymore. And I think it was, truly trying to reflect, because I think people were sick of seeing, fake on TV. They wanted to see something real, something relatable. And I think that's, I think it started with the 80s, but it really picked up, in the 90s. And so part of what we're going to do today is I found a random article on just through Google, a website called retropon.com. So if you run that website and you're listening to this, hey, great website. Thank you for the article. But it's basically the top 10 most memorable sitcom moms of the 90s. So we're going to go through those and kind of talk about those. But before we do, there's definitely some honorable mentions I want to talk about outside of sitcoms, because here's the thing too. Sitcom moms is only kind of one category of TV
Cartoon
moms.
moms.
You have You have cartoon moms. So I want to talk about those for a second, because again, they're not going to be on this list that's going to be most of this episode. When you think of a cartoon mom, who's the first mom that comes to mind for you?
Oh, Tommy Pickles' mom.
Dee Dee Pickles. Same.
Yeah.
Say literally the same thing. I was going to say
yeah.
Dee Dee Pickles. And it's funny because, again, back when we saw the show as kids, you know, she was a mom to us. But now, I mean, technically, she's probably younger than us. You know, I think I read somewhere she was in like her early 30s.
Yeah, which is...
Yeah.
I saw something on this funny random side on Facebook where it was like a picture of all the dads from that. It looked they were in a pool for some episode. They had their shirts off, and it was like, you know, you're old when you and your friends actually look like that in the pool.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
It's true, though. It's so true.
Yeah.
So Dee Dee Pickles, man, like and apologies, I didn't do any research on Dee Dee Pickles here, but from what I recall, she wasn't like a stay-at-home mom, or maybe she was, but I remember like in one episode at least, she was like a substitute teacher.
Yeah, I think she did like, you know, odd jobs here and there to help out. Like it was definitely, you know, helping out.
Yeah.
Stu and his crazy.
Well, let's be honest. Like Stu was a freaking, I don't want to say he was a deadbeat, but the dude was like not helping their family situation, at least from a financial standpoint. He was an out of work inventor trying to like invent the next big thing, and he couldn't do it. So like he was kind of a mooch. Like was he making money? I don't think he was.
I don't know.
But, you know, Dee Dee, I mean, hard at work. She was, and on top of that, she was, you know, kind of almost that traditional housewife where she was working outside the home, but then also was the one in charge of taking care of the kids and, you know, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. So she kind of did it all. So, yeah, to me, like, Dee Dee was, like, that's a mom I wish I could have.
You know, the just moms in general in that show, like, because then you have also Phil and Lil's mom.
Yep.
She was like a, what'd you call it? Like a
feminist.
Yeah,
really.
there you go. Couldn't think of the word. Feminist. Like she was like super, you know, whatever. And then you had Angelica's mom, who was the CEO, like, you know, barely had time for her kids and all that other stuff. And so, yeah, it was.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, and I'm sure that had to have been somewhat intentional, where you almost had every kind of like mom represented on the show, and they were friends with each other, which was kind of cool too, because obviously they had very different backgrounds and philosophies on parenting. I remember there's one episode, I think it was called The Family Feud or something. Do you remember that one where like the parents were arguing over something stupid and fighting?
Familiar,
yeah, so like they were friends, but they would have arguments. But yeah, they such different approaches to parenting, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, you know, you mentioned Betty, the feminist. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Just saying. I'm pretty sure Howard was her beard. And not that there's anything wrong with that, obviously, and of course it was a different time. And then of course Angelica's mom definitely wearing the pants in that marriage. But rightfully so, quite frankly. She was like, I don't know if she's a CEO, but she was definitely
whatever.
Like
it was some kind of high-powered.
She had a male assistant named Jonathan. So I mean, if that doesn't say a lot about you know, a woman in the 90s, she's up there, man. So so let me ask you, out of the three moms, you know, on that show, as a mom, which one, if you were to aspire to try to be most like one of those three, what would it be?
I'm feeling Dee Dee.
Probably Dee Dee? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
you
fair.
know, just to try to balance it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I would pick.
Okay. All right. Well, because there's some other TV moms. Marge Simpson. What are your thoughts on Marge Simpson?
Marge. Oh, my.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike her, but I feel like she put up with a lot.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have put up with, you know?
Well, and she was another one that was, I guess, kind of like Dee Dee, where she was the homemaker, but she definitely went out to work. She got jobs, especially when Homer was, you know, either unemployed or what have you. Like she was kind of the rock of that, at least back in the day. I will be honest, I have not watched Simpsons in a very long time.
Oh, not since the 90s. I don't think I've popped it on myself.
No. And I probably need to, because I am planning on doing a Simpsons episode with Lou here in a few weeks. But yeah, back in the day, man, like, you know, I don't know if she's changed since then, but she was kind of the rock of the Simpsons household, right? Yeah. She was the, you know, all the kids would go to her for advice, and Homer would, you know, anytime he would screw up, she would kind of come in and save the day. So she really was kind of the unsung hero of that show. Yeah. You know, which I thought was kind of cool. Let's see, who else, like cartoon mom? Well, I guess if we're counting the early 2000s, let's talk about Lois Griffin.
Lois. I love Lois.
What are your thoughts on Lois? I mean, did you watch a lot of Family Guy?
I did watch it a little bit, but
yeah.
I do. I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's just funny.
Yeah. No,
Peter.
Yeah, Lois.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of Family Guy. I mean, I know Lois, obviously. So, but I don't. I mean, do you recall like what kind of mom would you say she was? As far as was she? Because it was more of a comedy kind of satire show anyway. So it's not like she was setting a true example for moms and kids or whatever. But
no. I mean, she was, I'd say, about the same. Just staying home, doing some things, working some odd jobs. Ignoring Stewie.
Yeah, basically, right? Yeah, well, and then Stu was always, I mean, at least early in the early seasons, was like plotting her death or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if she's necessarily the best example of a good TV mom. I'm trying to think of other cartoon ones though. Oh, here we go. I mean, just going back to Nickelodeon for a second. Do you remember Doug's mom and Doug?
Honestly, I really don't. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had a mom, but that is not a woman who stood out to me. Sorry.
I can't remember her name, honestly. I remember she had blue hair and pink skin because that's, Doug always.
Why not? At that point.
But yeah, she was kind of just wishy-washy. So yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, there's probably not too many other cartoon moms out there that made a huge impact for me personally.
I liked from the Wild Thornberries.
Oh, Marianne.
I liked Marianne because, and I wanted to be Liza Thornberry. I wanted my parents to go get a whatever RV,
like an RV
and go. I wanted to be able to talk to animals.
Well, you were basically a horse girl growing up. I mean, you weren't a horse girl because I feel like that's a very specific. Yeah, you love animals. Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, why wouldn't my mom let me?
Yeah.
Like, let's do that.
Not only that, but she was kind of a badass too, right?
Yes,
like,
she was.
She went out there with Nigel. She was usually the camera person, right? So she
usually saved his ass.
Yeah,
90% of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was. I remember one episode he was like covered in honey or some shit because he was trying to attract these bees. Yeah. And she's trying to like he was going to die of anaphylactic shock, and so I liked her.
And I know we're not talking about dads, but I do say I got a shout out. And I'm sure I'll talk about him again on the dads episode. But Nigel Thornberry to me is just Marianne, I've got honey all over me. Roll the camera.
Yeah, basically.
And she's just there like, oh, Nigel. Yeah, she was terrific. So
I loved her.
I think I just needed a way to get my Nigel Thornberry impression into the episode.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Any other TV moms you can think of before we go through the list and talk more in depth about these?
Cartoon wise?
Yeah. Or in general. I mean, but TV specific. I mean, we could talk movie moms, but I feel like TV moms is more of a thing.
That's something different.
Yeah.
No, I think that's,
That's basically it? Okay. All right. Well, then here, I'm going to move the microphone. There we go. By the way, we are recording in our, the Generation S podcast studio, aka a folding table with a couple of microphones here, and it's a great setup,
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to just kind of work our way down the list. We're going to talk about the moms, the shows, our overall thoughts, if we have any, because there's definitely someone here that I don't know because I didn't watch some of these shows. So apologies. If you're listening to this and you did watch some of these shows, let us know. If you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment, or shout us out on Facebook, what have you. So anyway, number 10, or I guess it's in no particular order. So I'll say number 10 is Jill Taylor from Home Improvement. I want to say up front, I've never seen a single episode of Home Improvement in my entire life. So I'm going to be useless here. So what can you tell me about Jill Taylor?
It's been a long freaking time.
Yeah.
Since I've seen that show. I did watch it. I did love it. But it focused mainly on, that's, I guess, why I don't have very vivid memories of her. It focused, it was, what's his name's show. It focused on his tool time and, all that stuff. So from what I remember, she would counsel the boys if they were going through something or just kind of similar stuff like that. Again, she was, would take care of the house and
just the more grounded one from what I'm reading here, as far as like if he's got some weird scheme, she's kind of the level-headed one.
Yeah, she was always like he would go off and she was always, like I said, she would counsel her children if they were going through something or, but yeah, unfortunately, like I said, it was mainly that and the guy. Honestly, I could probably tell you more about the guy behind the fence, Wilson, their neighbor. I never saw his face.
No.
So that's unfortunate, but yeah, that's what I remember of her.
Okay, yeah, and again, I remember I've seen clips of the show,
it's a good show. Like
it is. No, and it's I know it's available. I think it's on Hulu.
Let's be honest. At least for a chick, if you're watching it for Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Maybe not now.
No, but when I was
back
a
in the
kid,
day. Oh, of course.
I wasn't watching it for, I was like,
now I'd be watching it for Tim Allen.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas's really cool hair.
Oh, he did have cool hair, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
I wish I could have had Jonathan. My hair was too curly. I couldn't do it like that, unfortunately. But
I was obsessed.
Yeah, well, and understandably so. All right, so yeah, not much to go off there from my perspective. But here we go. Next one. This one I actually have a very fond opinion of is Amy Matthews from Boy Meets World, Corey's mom.
Yeah, so that's a show I didn't really watch. I'm not going to lie.
Well, then I'm happy to. So it's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
Because that's one where you watched it for Topanga,
I mean, yeah, of course. Well, and you could have watched it for Sean Ryder Strong, right? Because he was a heartthrob back in the day. Still a good looking guy for the record. But no, so Amy, man, she was, because I've rewatched Boy Meets World probably 2 or 3 times at this point. Because I love it. It's a fantastic show. I'll probably rewatch it again because I think it's great. But she was a homemaker, right? So she was a, kind of a traditional stay-at-home mom, but she was balancing a household. Her husband was working all the time, so she truly was the one that was holding that family together. But she was also very understanding, always willing to listen to her kids and help out whenever she could. And she was just a great mom, right? And she was a very loving wife as well, which is always great to see. Because the thing about that show is it wasn't blue collar, but it wasn't white collar. Is there something in between? There's nothing in between, right? Is there? Can we make something up? What, pink collar? Because he wasn't like a manual laborer like some other TV dads, but he wasn't like an executive, right? So he managed a grocery store, right? So I mean, I'm sure he made good money, but he worked a lot. But he wasn't like an idiot either, right? Because you have some of these shows where the dads are more like, again, going back to The Simpsons, and of course that's more satire. But Homer was kind of a moron, despite working at a nuclear power plant, and Marge was just like, oh, Homer, like that was just the thing, right? Whereas she very much loved her husband, and she respected her husband, but also, again, was a very good mom to her kids. So to me, ranks very highly, 2 thumbs up from my perspective. I thought she was a fantastic mom. Honestly, sounds very similar to Jill from Home Improvement, which again, I never watched, but it sounds like you have a similar opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the same time.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
All right. Next one on the list here, Vivian Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, this is a show that both you and I watched a lot.
I did watch.
Big fan of this show. Yes. So the first question is, which Vivian was your favorite?
Right? Oh my God. I do remember being like, wait, what? When they made the switch, and I was like, am I having a stroke? Yeah. That does not look like the same person, but okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. All that aside, her character, I mean, we talk about it from the character, it doesn't really matter.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever. But I thought she was a very strong character.
Yes.
Very strong mom. The fact that she took in, Will Smith's character, on top of having her own kids and her own stuff that she's doing and running, and she treated him, I felt, just like, she treated the rest of her biological children. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Which was it? I don't remember.
It was
her sister's kid. So
her sister's kid. So
okay,
yeah,
so
blood relatives.
They were blood relatives, but I mean,
that doesn't necessarily matter.
But I'm just saying, she treated him as if it was her own child.
100%. Well, and they both did. And again,
Yeah, but we're talking about. But
we're talking about the moms. But yes, no. So yeah. And I think what I loved most about her was she's classy, right? I mean, they were a wealthy family, so in general, but she wasn't snobby, right? She was always, because they came from, I mean, I guess you call it the hood or whatever, but they came from very, poor conditions. I think they're from Philadelphia, right? Or maybe, because they got out of, that situation. Philip became a lawyer, then a judge. Uncle Phil, and I don't think Vivian ended. Because I don't think she works in this, right? She's I think she's a stay-at-home mom. Now, of course, she's got a butler, so it's not like she's a traditional stay-at-home mom. But at the same time, I feel like
she did stuff though, with
she might,
fundraising and volunteer work. There was stuff that she was doing.
Yes,
sure.
No, she always definitely seemed to stay busy doing things, and again, was a very caring mom. So that's the thing too, because there's almost that negative stereotype of when you grow up in a rich household, and your one of your parents is super rich, whatever, and you have a mom who doesn't work or whatever, and she's not necessarily there emotionally for her kids. She has somebody else take care of that, right?
Yeah.
A nanny or a butler. Well, in this case, a butler or whatever. But no, she was always, a very loving mom, a very good wife.
Involved.
Again, yeah, exactly. And I know we've been talking about it. This is the whole goal is talking about TV moms. But again, as a TV wife, I always thought she was a very good, wife to her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Again, treated her husband with respect and just was, it was good. I liked. So yeah, again, 2 thumbs up from me. Fantastic mom.
No, she was great.
Yeah, both of them.
Right. I was like, for real, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. I think this one's going to be a little polarizing because I think we're going to have opposite opinions.
Oh,
here.
Probably.
Okay.
If it's the one I think.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Roseanne Connor from Roseanne.
Jesus Christ, no. Could not stand that woman.
Oh, my God.
My goodness.
And I loved her.
Not.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh
you've seen it's one of the only full sets TV DVD collections I own because
in The Office, but
in The Office, but yeah, that's you bought that for me. Is one of my favorite shows of all time. I've rewatched Roseanne multiple times, and honestly, I think she is an incredible. At least in the earlier seasons, I think she's an incredible mom. Mainly because that show pictured almost to a T where I grew up in terms of just the lower middle class. Because it's kind of what we were, right? You had, we grew up on a very tight budget, and my mom managed that budget while also managing 3 kids. And so I could very much relate to her as a mom, not me personally, but as far as moms go, I had friends that had moms like that. My mom was very different, but similar. It was, she was so real. And I think that's why I really kind of gravitated toward that show, is because it felt very relatable to me. And it was a well-written show, too, and I thought it was very funny. But, you feel the opposite. So tell me about that. What is it about Roseanne that you just don't like?
She's just crass. I don't know. It's just not...
You don't like crass?
No, I don't... Well, I don't know. It was something about her that was just... I just never really liked it. To be honest, I was just...
Okay. Was it her physical appearance or...
No.
Okay.
I mean, whatever.
Because she dressed pretty plainly, but again, it was
it was more so her attitude than anything, where she was just always freaking out about something or just yelling, going off about something.
Well, that's the thing though, especially early. She didn't really though.
I guess that's just what I remember.
Well, and that's fair because her character, not just in the show, but
I couldn't imagine growing up in that house that would stress me out. Where she's just hollering at you all the dang time,
yeah.
That would stress me out.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
I was thinking as a child.
Yeah.
I would not like that environment at all.
No. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it was so relatable because I had so many friends that had moms like that did treat me like one of their own when I would go sleep over there or whatever. So, I don't know. Fond memories for me.
All right. Well, we'll just
we can agree
to disagree.
100%. We can absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. So, all right. Next one on the list here, we have Harriet Winslow from Family Matters. Did you watch Family Matters?
I did not with any it was when it was on, I would catch it. I wasn't so I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember much about her.
It's been a while since I've seen Family Matters. I know she's not the main person I think of when I think of that show.
I think Urkel.
For obvious reasons, exactly. You got Urkel. But what I remember about her was that she was kind of no nonsense. She was, Carl Winslow, her husband, was a police officer, which again is kind of that pink collar where it's not quite blue collar, but it's not quite white collar. It's somewhere in the middle. So I'm calling it pink collar. And,
oh boy.
Yeah. And then she was definitely kind of blue collar ish as well. I remember because she was on, I forget the name of the show that she got introduced on. It wasn't Family Matters. She was a character on a different show.
Oh, dang.
As Harriet, but and I forget what it was called, but she was she worked as an elevator something or other. And so
operator or something?
I think so. And again, I've never seen the show. So if you're listening to this and you're no, she actually did this. Sorry, I don't remember. But I remember she was something else and it was very kind of blue collar-y-ish. And so she was definitely kind of that no nonsense. I think of, and again, this is me coming to this perspective as a white dude, but the other, I think of the other black family that was very prominent in sitcom history was the Cosbys, right?
Yeah.
And I'm when you compare her to Claire Huxtable, I think she was definitely a very different mom to her kids and wife to her husband than Claire Huxtable was. I think where Claire was kind of, more like Vivi. Well, and shoot, I just totally forgot to talk about, we already mentioned like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's another one too. But like when you compare like Harriet to like Vivian or Claire Huxtable, she's definitely kind of more down to earth. Somewhere I'd say on the scale of Roseanne to Claire Huxtable, she's, somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't have a lot of memories of her watching her. So it wasn't a mom that I was like, oof, like again, if we're comparing it to Roseanne, where like, that was a mom I knew growing up. I don't have a lot of, I love the show. It was a great show. I just haven't watched it in such a long time.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
All right. Another one that we're going to have different opinions on, but for different reasons. Peg Bundy.
Oh my God.
Married with Children.
She was another one that I'm sorry. I don't know why I could not stand Peg or Roseanne.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because she was just like, they made her out to be a bimbo.
Yes.
And whatever, as a dude, whatever. I'm not a dude, so whatever.
Yeah.
I did not appreciate the way she was portrayed.
That's fair. I loved her, but not because she was a mom, but because I thought she was smoking hot. That was like one of my first TV crushes. Like, well, and
that was the point. Let's think about it. That was the point of the show. Like, that's why I didn't really like to watch that show in general. Right. It was just kind of not my cup of tea, but.
She was, for all intents and purposes, she was a terrible mom.
Yeah.
She was a stay-at-home housewife, but she was not good at being a mom.
Oh, not at all.
No. I thought her fashion sense was pretty interesting. It was.
It was
I feel like you would have loved it. She wore like animal print spandex leggings.
I wear animal print in a tasteful manner. I do take offense to that, Dan.
What's wrong with the way she wears? She's got, she's got her makeup. I'm looking at a picture of her. Got her hair up nice. God. She's like a cross between. She's like a modern day Wilma Flintstone, right?
Oh my.
Maybe not. Okay.
Oh, we didn't say the Flintstones. They were
because that wasn't really our era. That was like
I feel like I saw Flintstones when I was.
We did, but it was like 30-year-old reruns that we watched of it.
All right.
If you want to shout out Wilma Flintstone and Betty Rubble? No. Okay.
I thought they were awesome.
Okay, that's fair. We didn't shout out like I Love Lucy either because she was technically a mom later on.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Peg Bundy, terrible mom, smoking hot. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, okay.
I'm done with that.
Okay, here we go. This is one that I have zero input on, and I apologize. We may have to just move on. It's Carol Foster Lambert from Step by Step.
Never saw that show.
I never did either.
Nope, never saw that show.
So apologies if you love this show. I got nothing to say, so we're moving on. All right, another one that, again, I may have seen once or twice, but I don't remember it. So here we go. Lisa Landry, the mom from Sister Sister.
I did. I saw that show, but it was again from the sisters is what you watch the show for. So I don't really.
Yeah. Well, here, what I'll do is I'll read the little blurb from Retropon that they wrote. So at least we have something to say. And in fact, before we do, let me go back and read Carol Foster Lambert from Step by Step because
all right, go for it.
I feel like we should. So here we go. Leading a large family filled with children and stepchildren is no easy task, but Carol Foster Lambert, played by Suzanne Summers, did it with seeming ease in Step by Step, a modern day, for the time, Carol Brady.
Oh my.
The show was all about how a blended family could make it work. So that was, again, that was what you get for Step by Step. Never saw the show, so I got nothing personal there.
Yeah, no.
Lisa Landry, here we go. Young, hip, and fashion-forward, Lisa Landry was an exciting and fun mom on Sister Sister, played by Jackie Harry, Lisa was a working mom who was not only strong and successful, but also kind of sexy in a way that a lot of sitcom moms weren't at the time.
That's
I'll
fair.
agree. She was certainly a very beautiful woman. Again, no memories. So I got moving on.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. I think this is one you've seen.
It's funny. Just before we move on, I guess if I went back and watched these shows, my perspective would be different. But when I watched them, I was a child. So really, I paid attention to
not the parents necessarily.
Not the parents.
Yeah. So as an adult, though, yeah, it's,
Yeah, so that'd be interesting to go back and watch some of these and be like, oh, all right, I can see where they're coming from. Because like I said, I didn't really care.
No, it's true. All right, here we go. I think you've seen the show. I definitely haven't. So I got nothing
gosh,
here. It's Deborah Barone from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, I loved Everybody Loves Raymond.
See, I never watched it. I know the general premise of it. I just never watched it.
She was a good mom.
Okay.
I liked her. She was always dealing with Raymond's, whatever.
So what's his deal? Because he was like kind of neurotic or whatever, right?
Yeah, kind of neurotic, and like his family, like they were very close Italian family, and everybody was always up in everybody else's business, and he was just, like it would just, I think, give him agita sometimes, and so he would just,
Okay, but she was a good mom overall?
I would say, yeah.
Was she a
good wife, definitely.
Was she a stay-at-home mom, or?
Honestly,
Can't remember. Okay.
Don't remember what she did, but I remember when she was in the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, she was like chilling him out, or,
Okay, so she was good wife, good mom as far as you know. Okay. All right, next on the list here. Again, a show that I haven't seen, but I think you did. Estelle Costanza from Seinfeld, George Costanza's mom.
I did watch Seinfeld. I did, but I'm not going to be good with this one either, because I would catch it. It was on like later, or something. Like, I just didn't watch. I don't know much about Estelle. I'm not going to lie.
Well, she was kind of just a guest character. Yeah. Obviously, she was, played by Estelle Harris, who I know as Mrs. Potato Head from Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
She was, a guest star, but a very memorable one. And I guess she was on a few episodes. So again, apologies. I in fact, let me just go ahead and read it.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is the last one on the list, actually. So,
oh my,
I know, right? Here we go. Well, all the other moms on the list are regulars on their series. Estelle Costanza, played by Estelle Harris, was just a recurring guest on Seinfeld, and we use just in quotes because she was certainly more than that, more than just a guest star. She was one of the most memorable parts of the show, period, thanks in no small part to her very distinctive voice, which is certainly fair to say. When Estelle was on an episode of Seinfeld, you knew it was going to be extra funny. So that is the list of 10 memorable 90s sitcom moms. Any of them that we didn't talk about that you feel like should have been on the list?
I was actually just trying to think while you were wrapping that up, and
so there's one that I'm thinking of, and again, it's a show that I never watched, so I don't have anything to contribute. But Everybody Loves, or not? No, we just talked about Malcolm in the Middle. Did you watch that show?
No.
See, neither did I.
No, okay. I didn't. I was not.
Were you not allowed to?
No, I was not a fan of it.
Oh, okay.
I just was not.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, no, man. I don't know. It's terrible. But, it is interesting because basically from what we talked about and discussed, I feel like it was definitely a transition period.
Yeah.
For moms in general, because like you said, we started out with like kind of the June Cleaver, and there were still some moms that followed that trope, even in the 90s. But then you had ones that they were starting to kind of break out of that mold, because times were changing. Things were, I would say, I feel like our generation was the first one where, moms weren't necessarily staying home. I mean, I know you and I were lucky. We had both of our moms pretty much stayed home.
Yeah.
The whole time. But like, I had plenty of friends that I grew up with.
Or their parents were working. Yeah.
Where it was a 2-income household. And, it was probably about 50-50, to be honest. Like, of my friends, I would say it was a 50-50 split of whose mom stayed home and whose mom had at minimum part-time job somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I think it was interesting because they were, the TV moms we talked about, some were changing with the times, with that. And
I think ultimately there was something for everyone though, right? You could find a show that had a mom that either you could relate to on a personal level, or you knew somebody who had a mom like that, or, in some cases, maybe you didn't have a very strong matriarch figure in your life. It was a way for you to kind of get that, that motherly, I don't know, not love, whatever you'd call it from a TV show, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Connection.
Just
I don't know.
Connect. Yeah. Connection. That's a good, yeah. So, there's a couple of honorable mentions here. I ended up going to another article just to see if there's other moms that we might've missed. And there's one, maybe two in particular that I think you would at least remember, one of which, is a show that I have zero knowledge of, but I feel like you watched it, and maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Cindy Walsh from Beverly Hills 90210. Did you watch Beverly Hills 90210? Or was that before your time?
I did, but like not,
I feel like I was too young to understand it.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what's going on. I'm not going to lie. Like, I remember it, and I was like, well, what is happening?
All right. Totally fair. I've got one more that I know you know that I totally forgot about.
Okay.
You ready?
Who do I know?
I'm putting you on the spot here.
I'm scared now.
It's Joyce Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Buffy's mom. No?
Again, I was watching. I wanted to be Buffy, not her mom. I didn't want to be
her mom.
Like, I did not really. I don't have anything that sticks out. I wanted to be Buffy. I wanted David Boreanaz to be my boyfriend, and that's really all I cared about at the time.
All right, that's fair.
So, yeah, wow. I'm sorry.
No, that's totally cool. I thought, because I know you were a huge Buffy fan, but
again, I think part of it is the perspective. Like, now that I'm really thinking about it, like, I didn't really care. Like, now that I'm a mom, you know, I do look at those kind of things, like in TV shows and stuff that we're watching, like, currently.
Yeah.
But at the time, you know, I really wasn't. I didn't care.
Well, and that's true, because it wasn't like Buffy was a family show about family. It was, you know, she had family, but that wasn't the point.
But but you mostly saw her with her little high school friends and the librarian.
Yeah.
You know? And that was their family, you know, in that show. I mean, great show. Loved that show.
Yes. But again, wasn't one where it had
a
a memorable
mom
for you.
did not. I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, the mom was just clueless because she had no idea that her daughter was a vampire hunter and all this shit, and she was like trying to. How many times did she save the world from ending in the show? It was like at least 4 or 5 times that a portal to hell was going to open up, and she's like, "Hey, do you want some breakfast?" And it's like, Jesus, woman, she's got to close the portal to hell so you can hold the toaster strudel. You know what I'm saying?
The only episode I remember, because it's actually, I think, the only one I've ever seen of Buffy. Well, I take it back. I think I saw some of the first season.
Oh, that's the next one we're watching.
I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we're probably going to wrap up recording because we got to go watch our favorite show. So, by the way, guys, I can share this. This is, it's not like our personal life, but we are rewatching. Well, me for the first time, Beth, for I don't know how many times, but we were watching the X-Files, which is another show from the 90s. And actually, you have requested.
You know what? She technically was a mom at the end.
She wasn't really, though.
She was a mom, so we can add Dana Scully.
No, absolutely not. I will not accept that.
Damn it.
But I know you want to do, we'll probably do an X-Files episode here after we wrap up everything, because I feel like we could probably have a good conversation about that.
I could talk for hours.
Oh, I know you could. Anyway, getting off track here. Well, actually, I think that might be it, man. I mean, is there really anything else you want to say as far as TV moms? This is kind of a short one, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think I wrapped up everything,
Yeah.
One thing, as a mom, just kind of thinking back to some of the moms that we did describe and talk about.
Yeah.
Is that one of the commonalities is that, like, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but just kind of, unfortunately, and this doesn't hold true for necessarily everybody, but that expectation of the June Cleaver and you're supplementing the income.
Yeah.
And you're trying to climb the ladder and you're holding your family together. And I know, like, TV is a reflection. It's like TV doesn't determine, pop culture, or not pop culture, but like doesn't determine societal norms. It's the other way, like the societal norms. They make TV shows to relate to that.
Right.
But it's just one of those where it's like it's sometimes you're wondering if it's like almost an impossible standard as a mom.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you're trying to be a good mom to your kids, a good wife to your husband. You're trying to, help make ends meet and things like that, especially in like a middle class situation. So, that did we shoot ourselves in the foot with that? I don't know. But
well, and listen, I agree, because from a dad perspective, these TV dads that I will be talking about next month, they didn't really, I mean, in some ways they set the bar high for, aspiring fathers or whatever.
Well, and some are better than others, obviously.
Yeah, but in general, like, especially when you had the TV moms that were stay-at-home moms or whatever, they would come home and they would put their feet up, man. I mean, that trope has not really gone anywhere.
No,
you know what I
yet
mean?
There's still there is now the expectation of, like, we can't live. I mean, one income family is not really heard of.
Well, I mean, hell, I mean, just thinking of like Full House, right? There's no moms in that.
No, there is no mom.
But the dad, I don't know if he can't or just chooses not, like, but he's not raising his kids by himself. He's got two dudes living with him to get the job done of what would theoretically be done by one
just
mom.
Just one mom. Yeah.
So
that's actually an interesting.
I know.
That's an interesting thought.
I'll probably bring it up with whoever, and I may be coercing you into that episode as well. Maybe you, I don't know, but
oh my,
I think there's a lot of room
and
for
like
discussion.
I said, that's not to say that that's every household couple.
No, absolutely
whatever. Not. I'm not going to blanket statement that, but it just is an interesting observation.
Yeah,
that kind of I feel like started in that era.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it was just like the more you could juggle, the better you were. But
yeah, well, and again, I feel like maybe that's just not just the mom thing. I do feel like TV can do that though, where if you're like, okay, this is the standard based on what I'm seeing.
Well, and today we not only have TV to show us that, but we also have social media. So
yes.
I can't even imagine, just, like if you really were to pay attention to all of that, what Instagram photos of the perfect mom and what she's doing with her kids and, all this. Plus she's got a job. You could literally, I mean, as a woman, as a mother, you could drive yourself insane.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And just be like, I suck at life, but
yeah, no, absolutely. Oh man. Well, listen, Mother's Day.
Didn't mean to take it down that path. No. Damn.
You're good, man. Well, listen, Mother's Day is a few days away. And obviously, you're a mom, so you will be doted upon. I'm just, I'll figure something out,
It's all good, man.
Just thinking back as like, a kid with my mom or, with your mom, like, did you do like, was it your dad that took care of stuff for Mother's Day, or did you guys have a role to play in that as kids?
Oh, when we were older, obviously. Yeah, like Dad made breakfast when we were like little, and we would probably kill ourselves or burn the house down. Sure,
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
But no, I mean, we would do the little crafts. I mean, that was the nice thing, like school.
Yeah.
You always did. I remember we did the little craft for the year, and the teacher would like take a picture, and we'd make word I'm looking for. Picture frame or something, popsicle sticks or, or thumbprint art. You'd make like a heart out of your thumbprints.
The handprints or whatever.
The handprints and all that. So we always did that kind of stuff. I do remember this was Megan and not me. I'm sharing her story. But one year I know my mom was on like the Atkins diet. So you couldn't have like sugars and candies. And my sister was like very distraught.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to buy my mom like, candy. Because she's like, whatever. So she made these she took paper and colored them brown like chocolates and like cut them into hearts, and she put them in a little box, and she made a box of like paper chocolates for my mom because she felt really bad that she couldn't have chocolate.
That was for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day?
I can't remember. It might have been Valentine's Day. I don't know. So that might be
either way. It's very.
But either way, it was a present that my sister had made, for my mom, just based on the situation. And but yeah, like we would do like the little crafts and the stuff like that, and then we would, when we got older, we would make the breakfast and stuff like that.
Okay. I didn't do any of that stuff. Like I did the crafts, but then I got older and I don't think I did anything for my mom really. Like, dude. I know, like I suck. Like, and my mom did so much, and I don't think she's gonna ever listen to this podcast. And I love my mom, but this is not her vibe. But I am confidently willing to say that I had one of the best moms growing up, as far as just, she ran the household, she took care of everything, to the point where I'm kind of kicking myself because it took me way too long to figure out how to do laundry and, load a dishwasher because I never had to, because my mom did all of that.
For 4 kids, yeah.
Yeah, no, she was stereotypical doting Jewish mother, like, and my dad will tell you that, yeah. He'd be like, Bud, your mom doted on you. You had no skills because your mother did all of it for you. Well, not now, but I mean, when I first got out of the house and like moved down to Georgia, like I didn't know how to do anything because, again, my mom did all of it for me. So she was the best, man. I mean, she still is. She's still alive. Like, she's the best. She's awesome. So, Mom, if you are listening, I love you. And if not, well, I still love you, and I'm sorry I didn't do more for you on Mother's Day. But, man, with that, any closing thoughts? Any Are you? Let me ask you, as a mom, are you hoping for anything in particular for Mother's Day so that I know what I should, do?
I just want the children to not argue about bullshit for 1 minute. I love them dearly, but if I have to hear, that's my Lego.
Or no, this is the newest one, right? You're cleaning up wrong.
Yes.
That's what they're arguing about. So we make our kids clean up their stuff pretty much every day because I think it's a good habit to build.
Yes.
But, it's like also my least favorite part of our day.
Yes.
Because I have to make them clean up. And they will argue with each other about who's cleaning up what, and they will snatch things out of each other's hands to make sure. It's almost like if you're playing basketball and you take a shot that's like a pretty easy jump shot, and someone snatches it to dunk it, right? Like then they get the point for it. Like that's pretty much how they feel about cleaning up the toys in their playroom.
Yeah, it's whatever. And so it's I mean, I love them dearly, and they're so cuddly and so sweet and so kind, but to each other, they are mean.
Yeah, they can be
so mean.
Yeah.
So that's really it, honestly.
Okay.
Like, please, like, I'll pull them aside on Saturday, be like, please, can y'all just not argue for one day? And that's all mommy needs. I
will do my best to reinforce that as well. So, all right. Well, listen, Beth, thank you for coming on the show.
Of course.
Good to have you back, and we'll definitely get you. We already talked about a few episodes we want to do together. So, on our radar in the future. We've got some great episodes coming up. And guys, if you're listening and this is the kind of stuff you like to hear and you grew up in the 90s or the early 2000s, again, let people know about this, right? Leave us a review on iTunes or on Spotify or wherever you're listening to your podcast. If you're listening to it right from the website, I don't know if you can leave a review, but maybe go to one of those podcasting providers and leave a quick 5-star, or however many stars you see fit, review. And check us out on social media. We've got a Facebook page, Generation S Podcast. We're on YouTube at Generation S. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. So check us out there. We've got some really cool stuff all about growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. And if you're just listening, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, go back and check out the other, 35 episodes we've got, and see if there's something you like in there. There's plenty to choose from. In fact, we've got a few that Beth, you've been on. And so, check those out as well. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.